want to believe that life is just so in the middle of what you perceived it could have been and what it's actually gonna be. Like it's not for me. Life's not terrible by any means, but it's not the or I haven't built it up to this historic height that would be great, that you envision. Like, it's so easy for me to envision and dream so much, but then that's not congruent with the amount of work that you or time dedicated to something and the result that you get from that. And I mean, I see that most of the time, or most easily comparable. I mean, I see that in my volleyball, as I just finished my my 12th season, and nowhere close to putting a banner on, and it's been like 7 seasons since we had a league title, and all I find myself doing over these years is just like hoping and just like dreaming about it happening, but putting in the like man hours and making changes. I think I've done a terrible job of that, and I think that it's something you have to be obsessed with, and I think it's going to involve year-round attention, and you just have to just dedicate a lot more time and energy to littler things like connecting with your players or your coworkers. And if we're talking about anything being remotely successful, like, there has to be a ton of communication and accountability, and I don't think I've done a great job of that, and which got me thinking about I didn't have a terribly great team this last season. Like, on paper, seemed like I had about 4 or 5 guys that were pretty good, pretty reliable, and then I was relying way too much on their production. And what happens when those dudes don't produce? It's like, where was the accountability for the rest of the players to feel like they were part of a successful team? And because they weren't being called upon and they weren't expecting to be part of it. And so I think you need a lot more depth, and it's kind of been a issue with our girls program too, as we've been too selfish with just trying to get out all the points and put all the responsibility on the starters. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 8, but it's just not realistic when kids are gonna be sick, they're gonna get injured, things are gonna happen like in their own like family life. And so it seems to me like the best teams are the deepest teams, are the teams that don't have a set starting lineup, but you can plug 7, 8, 9 kids in there and still get a win and still get quality effort. And my team came up against a situation where I want to say 3 of the 4 guys were not really producing, and I had no answer for that. There was nobody I felt confident in to send in that could produce what we needed, and that's my fault. And so I need a team that is willing to go in at the drop of a hat and be okay with getting subbed out at the drop of a hat, and then being ready to go back in later when the team needs them, and be okay with that. And all these, it's a big ask for teenagers, definitely, and it's a big ask for a team that changes every year. The personnel changes pretty heavily. Excuse me. And we just came off of a 2-week break, and I saw, like 4 or 5 of my guys for next year in the 2 times in the last 3 days, and it was definitely reminding me we're going back to the drawing board, and we're going to have to refigure this whole thing out, which I enjoy. But also, it kind of gave me some, what am I trying to say? Kind of made me feel okay, as like I don't really have anybody locked into any position right now, and that I'd like to facilitate a team where people want to be at practice, they want to be at the matches, and they want to win matches above all else. And if that means they don't play because their teammates better like that day or earned it the day before and then got there on time, which that's another thing I've been like hyper focusing on, is I should have a team that is disciplined enough to show up on time, and maybe I should use attendance as a jumping off point for them to be at practice or be in matches or playing time, is just their ability to show up on time. And if they don't show up, like, send them home. Then I started thinking yesterday that the showing up late for practice and sending them home might be too drastic. Maybe they're just gonna, do lines at the end of practice or run or something, which I think I've tried to and still or do over the years, but I always end up, like fibbing on it and not following through with it and not being consistent about the discipline. But it seems like it should pay dividends, for the season. If you want to be here and this is important to you, don't you think you would make the moves to be here on time, or prepare yourself to be somewhere on time, and prepare yourself to be stretched, or prepare yourself to be there on time so you can set up the nets and get all the gear out and whatnot? And on the flip side, shouldn't I have a clear plan of what we're doing that day in practice? And I mean, what's stopping me from preparing my entire season practice plan right now in the summer for the spring, and just have, I guess, a rough outline of what I'd like to accomplish, and then, whoa, look at all this construction going on, and then change it as need be during the season, on a day-to-day basis. So, all that thinking and planning and trying to figure out the puzzle, I enjoy that part. And I enjoy the girl season more, because as the assistant coach, I don't have to do all the managerial ordering of uniforms and balls and equipment and do the scheduling. I just get to focus on this stuff. But when I don't do all that stuff, I will kind of save it for later. So shoot, it would be nice to actually follow through with all this planning and vision before the girl season even starts. So at least I don't have that all figure out, at the same time as I'm trying to figure out the girls team, and also get my tournaments situated and get all that stuff done. And then when I don't feel like I have all this stuff prepared and it's not organized, or I feel like don't have it finished at the right time or early enough, then I'll kind of beat myself up about it, and then I feel like I don't belong. And then, but I've been kind of good about understanding also that all these things that I'm worried about and I'm fixated on, no one else is. And if someone else is, maybe it's one person, and hopefully it's someone that's involved in the program also. But yeah, I don't know why I'm so concerned with what other people think when I've been doing this long enough that it shouldn't matter. And I think it all just kind of comes back to just feeling like I grew up with so much privilege and that I am not doing great things with my life. And I think that gets focused on more, daily, because I work for my brother, who is very successful financially and I'd say socially too. And his kids are doing things in sports that I wish my kids were too. His kids are older than mine, but his youngest one is only about a year and a half older than mine. And then I feel guilty that they could have been doing all this stuff, but I'm spending too much time doing my own coaching thing. But it's the last I'd say 4 months, my two oldest ones have been showing the most interest in volleyball they ever have, and so I'm pretty excited on that front. And so, in a perfect world, I'd love to have all my ducks in a row for volleyball by the time they're ready to take it seriously, so that they can have a good time and enjoy themselves and be successful. And in a perfect world, they can get a free education through volleyball, so that they can, pursue that if they want to, or pursue, another field of work, a la whatever they get their degree in, if that's what they want to do, or they'll fall into something completely different that doesn't involve school. But I would love for them to have that opportunity, and I'll pay for it if need be, but if I can help them, get it for free, I would love to do that also. And who's to say if that's even remotely what they're interested in. But it's, I think I spend too much time, beating myself up and telling myself that I'm not good when maybe I'm okay, and I don't, and a lot of people aren't saying these things that I'm concerned, or I think they are. And that probably doesn't matter much at all. Yeah, today, pretty incoherent, blabbering. I'm sorry. It's like been a long week, and like I said, of just thinking about stuff, and that's not my it's not my comfort zone, but it happens. It just happens sometimes that you are forced to think about your life, and you cannot just distract yourself all the time. And that's not really that bad in the grand scheme of things, but no one ever told me that it would be, you might feel frustrated in your own life, and sometimes it feels like you're not sure what the solution is. And maybe there is no solution, that this is just part of life and you just have to endure it for a little bit and keep it moving and find some joy in something else that day until you stop fixating on something that's maybe causing so much tension mentally and emotionally. But I think I owed you guys one or two of those. So yeah, happy summer, I think.